Hello and namaste. This is me, Yubaraj Bhattarai. I'm still second semester scholar in Nepal Open University, Kathmandu. I am going to present about writing a research proposal in the subject academic writing, which has code 512. Firstly, I have prepared presentation outlines. The presentation outlines include introduction, differences between master's and doctoral thesis, developing a research proposal, ways to define a research question, details to include in a research, purpose of each research proposal, criteria for assessing research proposal, differences between disciplines in choosing a research topic, conclusions. Introduction. Theses are considered as occluded genres because they are difficult for students to have access to but important part in a student's life. Research proposal are a key element to the successful thesis. Does not appear naturally only with example but by the reactions, suggestions and feedbacks from the peers, supervisors and thesis committee. Differences between master's and doctoral thesis. Master's thesis. Master's thesis has the following characteristics: an original investigation or the testing of the ideas, competence in independent work or experimentation, understanding of appropriateness of their limitations, expert knowledge of the published literature on the topic under investigation, ability to make critical use of published works and source materials, appreciation of the relationship between research topic and the wider field of knowledge, ability to present the work at an appropriate level of literacy quality. Doctoral thesis. Along with the above characteristics of master thesis, doctoral thesis has the following characteristics: a distinct contribution of knowledge as shown by the topic under investigation, the methodology employed, the discovery of new facts, the interpretation of findings. Research apprenticeship is to complete and worthy of publication, should be able to admit the community of scholars. Checklist for developing a research proposal. What are the necessary checklists that are required for developing a research proposal? I have mentioned as below. Draw a shortlist. A shortlist of topic selection should be made first. Select a topic for investigation. The appropriate topic should be selected for the further investigation. Formulate general questions, turning topic into research. The general questions are to be formulated in order to turning the topic into the actual research. Focus on the questions feasible, significant. Special attention while choosing the questions should be given. The questions selected must be feasible and significant. Decide on the aims and the objective of the study or formulate the hypothesis. Thinking about the data that need to be collected to answer the research questions. Draw up initial research plans. Reading sufficient literature such as journal articles, research reports, thesis and dissertation. Write up detailed proposal including definitions of key terms. Ways to define research questions. Read a wide range of literature related to your research. A wide range of literature are to be read firstly in order to strengthen your research. Narrow your focus to a single question. Be disciplined, not over ambitious. Over ambition is not so good while narrowing your focus to a single question. If you prepared a single question, then it would be to carry the research appropriately. Be prepared to modify or change questions if necessary. While writing on the thesis, if necessary modification is to be made, the questions are to be changed. Be able to answer the research questions. Read up-to-date materials that can ensure the idea is achievable and no one else has done or doing it. The research should be in such a form that it should not be researched previously. Consult peers who are further down the track, especially those who have the same supervisor as you. Discuss your ideas with supervisor and lots of other people. Attend specialized conference in your area so that you can gain more knowledge from the field. Walk through the implication of your research questions. Consider existing materials and idea on which it is based. Check the logic, spell out methods to be used. Condense research questions into 2 sentences. Write them down above the work areas. Ask yourself, what can we get at the end? Details to include in a research proposal. A clearly focused statement of the overall purpose of the research. A clearly focused research questions, hypothesis that is worth asking and capable of being answered. Precise definition of the key terms in the research questions or hypothesis that will allow them to be clearly observed, measured, and identified throughout the study. An awareness of the key research that has already been carried out in the particular area, including conclusions, reach agreement or conflict, or main issues or controversies, and indication of relevancy. Appropriate choice of the particular questions or problem, including a well-defined list of procedure to be followed in carrying out the research. Method of data collection, theoretical framework, statement of the sample population, a pilot study to test instrument, an anticipated problem and limitation in the proposed study in including the threats to reliability and validity. A statement which illustrated why the study is significant, that is why the research question or a hypothesis is worth asking. Consideration of ethical issues. A proposed timetable for research, a proposed budget for the research, a list of references, appendices or containing any material that will be used or adapted for the study with permission. Purpose of each research section of research proposal. I have here mentioned what are the main purpose of each section that are included in a research proposal. Title. Title should be summarized in a few words that the research will be all about. Summary. To provide an overview of the study which you will expand on in more detail in the text that follows. Overall purpose. To present a clear and concise statement of the overall purpose of the research. Relevant background literature. Demonstrate the relationship between the proposed study and what has already been done in the particular area, that is to indicate the gap that the study will fill. Research questions. They provide an explicit statement of what the study will investigate. Definitions of the key terms. To provide the meaning of the terms that have been used in the research questions. Research methodology. It gives an illustration of the steps the project will go through in order to carry out the research. Anticipated problems and limitation. To show awareness of the limitation of the study, what problems may be met in carrying out it and how they may be dealt with. Significance of the research. To say why the study is worth carrying out. Resources required and budget. To say what the resource will require and what other costs may be anticipated in carrying out the study. Ethics. To provide a statement as how to participants will be advised of the overall nature of the study and how informed consent will be obtained from them. Proposed table of contents. To give an overview of the scale and anticipated organization of the thesis or dissertation. Timetable. To give a working plan for carrying out completing the study. References. To provide detailed references and bibliographic support for the proposals. Appendix. To provide example of materials that might be used or adapted in the study. Now, criteria for assessing research proposal. Here I have mentioned the necessary criteria that are required to assess research proposal. The logic of the student argument. A well-focused research questions, set of research objectives or hypothesis. The width and the depth of the student's reading. A critical approach to the literature. Justification of the project through the literature, understanding of the current issues on the student's topic, matching of the methodology and methods to the research questions. Differences between disciplines in choosing a research topic. Special focus is given on the research topic, the guidance and the timing. Topics may be linked to a funded research project. Restricted range of topics to choose from. Research questions are often decided earlier. Humanities. Students are required to initiate their own topics, taking into account supervisor interest and the availability of the data. Research questions and topics are often decided from the student's practice. May also be determined on the way of research as the student gain more disciplinary and methodological knowledge before they formulate for the research questions. Social science and professional fields. Topics are derived from the student's own professional practices. May also be determined on the way of research as the student gain more disciplinary and methodological knowledge before they formulate for the research questions. Conclusions. Important stage in the thesis and dissertation writing. As a work plan and the thesis and the basis of the text that eventually become their basis for thesis or dissertation, adds a literature in the field of knowledge. Thank you.